Most of my friends drank too much. The more they were in tune to the times, the more they drank. Fitzgerald published a short autobiography in The New Yorker, offering a summary of each year of his drinking life, beginning when he was 17 and bringing his career up to date. 1929. A feeling that all liquor has been drunk, and all it can do for one has been experienced, and yet... Garçon, un Chablis Mouton, 1902, et pour commencer, une petite carafe de vin rose. C'est ça. Merci. The entry for 1922 reads, Coleman's creme de cacao cocktails in St. Paul, my own first and last manufacture of gin. This brief foray into bathtub gin was most likely also in St. Paul, and almost certainly in a spirit of fun. Making gin didn't require a bathtub. The name originated from the size of the jar used, which people tended to fill from the faucet in the bath. Part of Gatsby's business, we learn, was selling grain alcohol over the counter from drugstores, which most Americans used to make their gin. Burton Rasco explained the system in his 1947 autobiography. Given the well-publicized risks of buying from bootleggers, the safest way was to make synthetic gin oneself. A great many drugstore proprietors dispensed bonded whiskey on prescription and grain alcohol without it. It was easy to find a doctor who would write such a prescription, but it cost a fortune, as one had to bribe the doctor in addition to paying a hefty premium for real whiskey. Most druggists, however, seemed to have an unlimited supply of grain alcohol in gallon cans, tested and guaranteed to be pure, and far more affordable. Nearly everybody who drank used synthetic gin until bootlegging became well organized in around 1926, said Rasco, helpfully sharing his recipe. Preserved among Fitzgerald's papers is his handwritten recipe for bathtub gin, which was almost the same as Rasco's. If 1922 was indeed Fitzgerald's first and last manufacture of gin, then this undated recipe may come from the year in which Gatsby is set. The Fitzgeralds were also acquainted with a bootlegger named Max Gerlach. Zelda would tell one of Fitzgerald's earliest biographers that J. Gatsby was based on a neighbor named von Gerlach or something, who was said to be General Pershing's nephew and was in trouble over bootlegging. When Gerlach became Gatsby, he lost his American uncle and acquired a more villainous German one. One time he killed a man who had found out that he was nephew to von Hindenburg and second cousin to the devil. Fitzgerald preserved a small cutting in his scrapbook, a newspaper photograph of himself, Zelda, and Scotty. Later, another cutting of the same photo was found on which a note had been scrawled. En route from the coast. Here for a few days on business. How are you and the family, old sport? 7/20/23. Gerlach. There is little reason to believe that Max Gerlach's noble predicate, von, was any more authentic than his use of the aristocratic affectation, old sport. But his improvement of his name may be mimicked in James Gats's transformation into J. Gatsby. Max Gerlach has haunted Fitzgerald scholars for decades, and some years ago a few hired a private detective to run him to ground. A man named Max Gerlach ran a garage in Flushing in the 1930s and attempted suicide by shooting himself in the 1950s. When Gerlach joined the U.S. Army in 1917, he was required to give character references. Two of his references were Judge Ariel Levy and George Young Bochel. Levy was known as a fixer for a gangster named Arnold Rothstein, and Bochel was an attorney and the frontman for a floating gambling club run by Rothstein called the Partridge Club. Fitzgerald's first biographer, Arthur Meisner, was contacted by a man named Gerlach in the 1950s.